Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. So we are going to have a lovely restorative practice today. It won't be 100% like lying around propped up on props, but a lot of it will be. And kind of how my body likes to do this is have a little bit of movement and then come into a resting position or a restorative position. Have a little bit of movement coming to a resting and restorative position. So you'll see that with a little bit more of the movement in the middle of the practice today. It's going to be relatively gentle, but that doesn't mean that you might not need to modify some things. So listen to your body and decide if you need to change some things up. I'm going to be using a blanket today, mostly for padding my knees, but we are going to be doing a chest stretch where we're on a vertical roll. So it could be a blanket or a towel roll. It could be a foam roller for this. I'll also show you an option to do with a yoga bolster if you happen to have that. And we'll be using the yoga blocks in a couple of the poses as well. And also you could do without them. We are going to be starting in a position to relax the hip flexors and decompress the spine. I am using my yoga bolsters for this, but if you don't have yoga bolsters at home, you could do legs up on the chair or a couch. So you might scoot yourself over to that position, and we'll be in this position, do one little movement here, and then you can always scoot yourself back onto the yoga mat if you needed to move away from it for this purpose. So find yourself on your back, legs up on the chair or couch. And there's no real wrong way to do this, except for if it makes you uncomfortable. For some people who are a little bit bonier, or if you have sacroiliac problems, sometimes you need some padding underneath the back of your hips, like a thin layer of blanket or towel. And then don't worry about trying to keep the knees in line with your hips. So if the knees want to roll out to the side a little bit, sometimes that's kind of the natural tendency. You're going to let them do that. Making any little adjustments here, repositioning the hips or the head, even support underneath the head if having your head flat with your spine feels like a little too much stretch or painful to the neck. Take a moment here, settle in, and sometimes it helps to use this kind of sighing breath. So you could take an inhale through the nose, open the mouth, letting out a sigh. One more of those sighing breaths. Allowing the body to settle and feel supported by the earth. And then begin to breathe through the nose. So both inhale and exhale through the nose. Each inhale is an opportunity to expand, to engage, to open, and each exhale is an opportunity to soften, to melt, to release. So whatever verbs really kind of strike a chord with you here, or bring an image to mind, think about that with your breath. Inhaling, expanding, opening, exhaling, softening, melting, releasing. And then start to slow down your breath. Lengthen it out. As if you wanted to stay in those two kind of opposing, maybe not quite opposing, these two states of being open, expansive, or that melting, releasing. Lengthen your breath so you can stay in those two states a little bit longer. This is a really lovely recovery position. So if you've done a lot of rowing, other exercise, strength workout, or just been up on your feet for long periods of time, this can feel really restful and sort of immediately restorative to the lower back and even the upper back here, as we begin to release tension in the hip flexors and decompress the spine, gravity pulling the shoulders towards the earth and getting you out of forward head and forward shoulder positioning. Take the next few breaths to set an intention for your practice. And perhaps you've come to the class today with your own intention. Feel free to set that one. Or I'm offering this one about staying with the breath. The inhale being open, expansive. The exhale softening, melting. So maybe pick one word for your inhale and one word for the exhale. Inhale, feeling open. Exhale, softening. Bring this thought to the front of your mind and breathe with intention. So we're going to stay here with our legs elevated. As we start to move, well, one of them will stay here, and we're going to start to move the other leg. So pull one leg in towards you and hold onto the back of the thigh here with interlaced fingers. And instead of pulling in real tight, let your elbows straighten. And what we're doing here is starting to straighten the knee. So you start to reach the foot towards the ceiling. Pull the top of the foot towards your shin. So you feel this openness through the back of the leg. And then we bend the knee, relax the foot. And we'll do some repetitions of this. So inhale, opening the back of the leg. Top of the foot pulls towards the shin. Exhale, softening that leg. And do a few more here. And we are opening up hamstrings, calf muscles, maybe even sole of the foot, but also doing a little sciatic nerve glide. So if there's any bound down, tightened down, even scarred down connective tissue around that nerve where it's embedded in the buttocks, back of the thigh, calf into the foot, we're loosening it up. All right, let's switch sides. Remember, you're not pulling that knee in tight. We inhale, start to straighten the knee, pull the foot back, exhale, let it bend. Make sure the neck and the shoulders stay relaxed. And you're just straightening the knee, just pulling the foot back enough to feel that stretch, that openness, maybe a little tugging sensation down the back of the leg, but not anything sharp, intense, or certainly not painful. We'll do one more. Sciatic nerve can get bound down, even pressure the buttocks on the seat on the boat. All right, releasing this, and then we are coming off of that legs up position. So maybe you roll over and make your way back onto the yoga mat, or push the props you have out of the way. Coming onto your yoga mat on your back again. And this time we'll pull one leg in towards us, just gently holding the shin or the back of the thigh. That knee stays bent, and we straighten the other leg. And that bent knee, pull it just a little bit to the side, so the knee's slightly wider than your hip. And that leg gets to rest right here. The straight leg, we're going to try to make it longer. So as you inhale, reach the heel out away from you, like the lengthen from the belly to the heel. And then exhale, relax it. We'll do a few more here. Inhale, reaching out through that heel. Exhale, relaxing it. Maybe one or two more. And you don't have to be working at like 100% effort. This actually works really well, somewhere between 50 and 75% effort to feel that lengthening through some of the hip flexors. Switch sides. This bent knee, we're just gently holding it in, bringing that knee slightly wider than the hip. Straight leg, we inhale, Lengthen from the belly through the heel. Exhale, relax it. We'll do a few more here. Remember, 50, 75% effort here, so we're not getting any back spasms or any kind of intense sensation. And we'll relax on this next one here. So both feet flat, just gently rock those knees side to side. And then we're gonna make our way onto our side. So this kind of fetal pose position. Now you could use a prop. I'm gonna use my yoga bolster, but it could be a yoga block. So lie on your side, have the top knee and shin resting on the bolster or yoga block. Maybe it's a pillow off your couch. The bottom leg is straight-ish. It can be wherever it feels comfortable here. And I'm supporting my head. You can either use this arm underneath or slide a pillow under there. And so the lower body is going to stay in this position, roughly speaking, and it might move a little bit. It's the top arm and the upper body we're going to come into a twist. Instead of sweeping straight over as we often do, we're going to sweep our arm over the head, like over the top of the head, the crown of your head, like making an umbrella over our head. So top arm starts straight out from the shoulder. We sweep the arm overhead like you're drawing this rainbow on the floor. Bring the arm behind you and turn your head in that direction. And then redraw that umbrella in the opposite direction. So we sweep the arm over the floor and forward again. So you inhale, draw the umbrella over the head. If your fingers can trace on the floor, great. If not, don't worry about it. Exhale, umbrella, arm back to the front. We'll do a few more. So along with that shoulder movement here, we're getting rotation in that upper back. And this is an area where I hold a lot of tension and tightness. I know a lot of my physical therapy clients do as well. And sometimes that movement here, it's a lubricating fluid moving around in the spine, between the shoulder blade and ribs, that shoulder joint. And increases the blood flow and can make that area feel a little less tense and tight. We're going to do this on the other side. So rolling on over. You could use that bolster if you have it. Could be a folded blanket. It could be a yoga block or two underneath that top knee and shin. So the top knee and shin are bent and resting a little bit elevated off the floor. Support the head. This top arm reaching straight out from the shoulder. We draw the umbrella over our head, bring it behind us, turning your head in that direction. And then we exhale, draw that umbrella in the opposite direction, bring it forward. So inhaling here to open up chest, shoulder, spine, exhale as we bring it back over to that side lying position. One or two more here, whatever feels like a nice amount that's relatively even. Left and right sides. Coming onto your side again. And then make your way onto your back another time. We're coming into a butterfly position here of the lower body. So I'm going to use my yoga blocks for this. Could be two pillows, two rolled up blankets. So knees bent, soles of feet together. Let your knees come out to the sides. So you might not need these props underneath, but I kind of like the position where it's not a big inner thigh stretch or groin stretch, but a place where I feel a little bit more supported and I can comfortably rest. Sometimes it's nice to have a folded blanket over the hips, low belly. A couple of things this can do for you is just kind of reinforce the sensation of feeling the floor under the back of the hips, can stimulate the vagus nerve that runs through the belly from the brainstem all the way down to the pelvic floor. to be here for another minute or a little bit longer. Think about coming back to that breath. That breath that we slowed down, the inhale to open, to expand, that exhale to soften. Here in this position, we're releasing tension on the back of the hips. So if this is an area where you tend to be tight or restricted in movement, this position can help release tension there on the back of the hips. Could be the glute maximus, but it could be hip rotators like the piriformis underneath there that are holding on to a little bit more tension. Slowing that breath down, also communicating to the nervous system that you're in more of that rest state, so your muscles don't have to be on high alert. Take a few more breaths right here. We'll bring the hands down to the outer thighs and use the hands to help hold the knees back up through center. You could toe heel the feet out to more hip distance apart. And I'll have you bring the arms out to the sides, cross one ankle over the other knee. That one foot's gonna stay on the floor, but we're rocking both legs here side to side. And for me, I always start out kind of conservative with this movement because sometimes I can quickly come into a low back stretch or a pull on my sacroiliac joint. So just being careful with this, and if it feels good and more would feel even better, you could make your movements a little bit bigger. You might even turn your head in the opposite direction of the legs, but go slow, right? Because with the weight of both legs here, you could add a little bit of a torque and give yourself a chiropractic adjustment that you weren't intending to do. We'll bring the legs back up through center and switch sides. Same thing, start out a little bit more conservative. See how it feels as you go left, as you go right. Maybe a bigger movement will feel good. Maybe where you are is great. Turn your head in the opposite direction. Keep it slow. Right? If someone watching this video, you're going to think I'm going slow motion. It's that slow. And we'll bring that back in through center. You could hug both knees in towards you here, gently circling the hips and knees. And circle in the other direction. And either roll to your side or hold the backs of your legs and rock forward and backward a few times to sit up. Now, if you have any back issues or bone density issues in the spine, I would say roll to your side. And eventually we'll all come up here to hands and knees position. I'm going to use my blanket here to pad my knees. And I'm going to have my yoga blocks near the front here for something we're going to do in a few poses. Starting in this tabletop position, knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. Remember, you've got options here with your hand positioning. It could be loose fist, which is a little easier on the wrist. You could be down on your forearms instead of the palms. Cat and cow, continuing to warm up the spine, rounding through the back, tuck your chin, tailbone. Inhale, lift the hips, pull the chest forward.
And a few more here. Exhale, rounding, pushing the floor away. Inhale, belly towards the floor, broadening through your collarbones. So you can keep it right here with this spinal movement. If you want to exaggerate these movements, more rounding of the back, more extending through the spine, as you round the back, maybe shift your hips towards your heels, like you're almost coming to child's pose. And then as you inhale, shift forward, lower the hips, opening the chest. So it's kind of an up dog / cobra. Pull the low belly in, exhale, rounding the back, shift the hips back. Inhale, shift it forward, lower hips, open the chest. And a few more here. And especially if that bigger back bend doesn't feel good to you, don't feel like you need to force it. And we'll shift it back here one more time. And the next one, we'll stretch one foot back, toes tucked under our toe rocking movement. So press the heel back, stretching through the calf, shifting forward, bending through the toe joints, and back and forth here a few times. Opening up, sole of the foot, calf, getting a little more movement in the toe and the ankle. And we'll switch sides, keeping it gentle. If there's some tension, tightness, or pain somewhere, we're not trying to push past it. We're working with what it is right now. Lower that knee back down. Now I am going to take us into a down dog, which for some of us is a challenging pose. So if it's not kind of going with this vibe of a more gentle restorative practice, maybe you come into a child's or puppy pose, or keep that toe rocking movement, or tuck the toes and reach your hips up and back. Find a long spine here, even if it means bending your knees. Take a moment, maybe pedal the feet or shake the head or both. Settle into the down dog, looking forward. We're stepping the left foot to the outside of the left hand. So that foot could even kind of sweep out wide to come forward, or you might help it. You could lower that back knee and help that foot come all the way to the front. So I have both hands on the inside of that front foot. So my front foot's a little wider than my hip. I'm going to use my yoga blocks here to create a little bit more space and openness in my spine and hips. So hands on the blocks, or could be up on fingertips. Allow the hips to sink forward. So that front knee will bend a little bit and you'll start to open through that right hip flexor. Pressing into the hands to lengthen up through the neck and the upper back. So you could stay with this or rotate a little bit. So I'm going to lower my outer right hip towards the floor and look over the left shoulder. And then I bring that all back to center again. So exhale, look over that left shoulder, kind of rotating the outer hip towards the floor. Exhale, bring it back to center. A couple more times where we're kind of opening up through that right side body, hip flexors, outer hip, side waist. And bring this back into center here. You could bring both hands down to the floor, or please bring both hands down to the floor. Step this into a plank. Lower both knees and lower all the way down. Once you're down on the floor, maybe let the head rest here on stacked hands and wiggle the hips a little bit. You could bend the knees, rock the legs side to side, windshield wiper fashion. Take a few expansive inhales and maybe an open mouth exhale. When you're ready, Breathing through the nose again, hands under your shoulders. Press yourself up to hands and knees and back to that down dog. Take a moment here, maybe a few more petals of the feet or shakes of the head. Looking forward, it'll be a right foot to the outside of that right hand, helping it there. Lower that back knee. Maybe hands up on the yoga blocks. It could be even up on that bolster if you have it, or fingertips on the floor. Let your hips sink down. Press into the hands to reach the top of the head up. So you find length from this left knee to the crown of the head. And then turn just to gently look over that right shoulder, lower that left outer hip, or maybe even just kind of rotate that outer hip towards the floor in that direction and bring it back to center. So we inhale, look over the right shoulder, left outer hip rotating towards the floor, exhale to center. A couple more like that. You're not forcing it. You're just seeing what motion, movement you have here that feels comfortable. Bring it back into center, and then toe heel that right foot onto the mat again, back knee up, and we step this into a forward fold. So it could be ragdoll fold with the knees are a little bent, upper body draped over lower body here. Backs of hands could rest on the floor or yoga blocks. Or this one, protective of the spine, feet wide, butt back, forearms on your thighs. So if you're working with herniated disc, really tight hamstrings, or low bone density in the spine, you're in this version of the forward fold. Either pose, you could sway a little bit. You can shake that head out like we did in down dog. We'll bring that weight shift back into center of the feet. Bend the knees a little more, look forward. Inhale, rise up to stand. Take a couple of backward shoulder rolls from here. I'm going to move that blanket out of the way so I don't end up tripping on it as I do a few standing things here. So we're working on kind of shoulder, neck, and tension and tightness, or even kind of the shrink wrap feeling that some of us get around the collarbones, neck, chest, shoulders. So staying with your feet about shoulder distance apart, slightly wider than normal. We're starting with some backward shoulder rolls, one shoulder at a time. So we shrug a shoulder up and roll it back and down. We do the other side. Inhale, shrug it up. Exhale, roll it back and down. So moving with that breath. So it's a real exaggerated movement. And it's not just my shoulder. Notice that I'm getting a little bit of rib cage rotation. Hips, feet stay to the front. Head's turning a little bit with it. You could stay with that. That might feel the best to your shoulders, or make this like a big back stroking movement. So we sweep the arm forward, pinky finger back, exhale, bring it back and down. Inhale, sweep forward and up. Exhale, bring it back and down. So you might have a little bit more of that trunk rotation if you're using that back stroking movement. Opening up here and then releasing. One more. Good. Check it out. Coming up to the front of the mat if you aren't there already. Take a big to medium step back with your left foot. We're finding a warrior one position. So back foot turned out a little bit. Front knee bent, hips square to the front. We want to find even more length in our spine. Tailbone towards the earth, top of the head towards the sky. So lower body's going to stay here, and we're doing this take the sweater off move. I'm going to turn to face you so you can see a little bit better. So we're leaning forward a little bit, arms crossed in front of the knee. We keep them crossed, but reach them up until the last moment where we have to bring our arms out and to the side. So we exhale forward, cross the arms, inhale, lift and open up. Let's do a couple more. Nice. Arms down, swing them out, step it to the front, shake out your legs.
And we'll do this on the other side. So right foot back for that warrior one position. Back foot turned out a bit, just a little bit. Front knee bent, tailbone towards the earth, top of the head towards the sky. Taking your second sweater off. So we lean forward, cross the arms, inhale, lift and open up. 3 more like that. And as the arms come down, step it forward, swing out your arms here, shake out your wrists, roll the shoulders. Do a little bit here at the wall. You could use a steady piece of furniture as well. This is a side stretcher, opening, lengthening through the side body. So you're gonna bring one hand to the wall or a steady piece of furniture. That foot that's closest to the support is gonna step forward and bend that knee. The other leg comes behind and closer to the wall, and you might have to end up stepping away to have enough space. Outer arm is reaching up and over. So you might be able to feel right away this length and stretch through the whole side body. Take a few breaths. If that shoulder doesn't like the position, hand could be behind the head. Maybe you can have the hand on the hip, but still get that stretch through the side body. Relax both shoulders. Take a couple more breaths. Come on up, switch sides. So hand on the wall, the foot closest to the support comes forward, you bend that knee, the other foot's behind closer to the wall or the support, and reach this outer arm up and over. If you're too close, there's not enough space to side bend here, so you might have to step away from the wall or your support a little bit. Remind those shoulders to relax. You could play with the gaze here, so you could look straight forward or up towards that lifted arm, or even down towards the floor. You could decide what feels comfortable. And notice how the stretch feels as you breathe in and breathe out. Changes with the inhale and the exhale. Coming back up, releasing the arm, rolling the shoulders here. Come back to the front of the mat if you've left that spot. Inhale, get taller, maybe reach up. You can even look up between your hands. Exhale, find that forward fold. Forearms to thighs or hands toward the floor in that ragdoll position. Take a few breaths with a few sways, a little shake of the head. Bring that weight shift to center, hands to the floor. Walk your feet back to find a down dog. Long through the spine, heels releasing towards the earth. And then bend both knees, untuck your toes. We're gonna find a child's or puppy pose. You might even pad those knees here for a little bit more comfort. Child's is hips over heels, forehead rests down on the floor or stacked hands or even a yoga block. But if you, again, have a herniated disc, low bone density in the spine, puppy pose, or any hip or knee issues, the puppy feels better. Hips over knees, forehead resting down. And if you're in that puppy, one thing I sometimes see my clients do is kind of shift forward a little bit more so there's more weight through the shoulders and the head. If you can shift your hips back a little bit, it's actually a little more relaxing to the shoulders, the neck. You may be able to release the jaw a little bit. And the other thing I see in people doing child's pose is not that it's wrong, but a more relaxing position instead of stretching arms forward would be elbows bent a little bit, maybe hands under forehead, sometimes even hands by the feet, a little more relaxing to the shoulders and the neck.
Take a few more breaths here, coming back to that intention for the practice, that feeling of openness or expansion on the inhale, and that softening or releasing on the exhale. And you can stay here longer, resting for a little bit more, finding that breath or finding your intention. Or moving on to the next one here, we're coming into a frog leg position. So you're on your belly for this one. And let's all do the same side. We're going to bring that left knee out to the side. So left knee's bent, inner knee resting on the floor, and arms and head wherever it feels the easiest for you to relax and release into. So it could be hands under forehead or cheek resting on the floor. Might feel good to pad that inner knee. You could slide a blanket or towel underneath it. Let's slow that breath down again. Finding that lengthened breath here. I have you here in this position. So again, those muscles in the back of the hip can relax. With the knee up a little bit. Side low back, side waist muscles, obliques also get a chance to rest and relax here. With the breath here in the stillness, you might not think so much about open or expansive inhales, but you could feel that in the back body as you breathe in, that expansion in the back of the ribs, even the low back. And of course, as you breathe out, this softening, melting. Stay here a little longer, or we could turn this into a twist. But before we do that, coming into the Sphinx position. So we have our, still on the frog leg if it's comfortable, elbows under shoulders, forearms parallel to each other. Press down into your forearms a little bit, and then as if your palms and forearms have suction cups, pull that chest forward. Neck long. You might need to adjust that frog leg position. Take a breath. And then look over that left shoulder, sort of like we did in that lizard pose. So you're still up on the forearms. You might feel that stretch through the right side abdominal muscles. And then listen to these instructions here. You're going to lift the left elbow and you're sliding the right arm underneath, sort of thread the needle style, and come to rest on that right shoulder. Now you could always slide a block or something underneath your forehead here. The other option would be to put a prop like the block or the bolster underneath that inner knee like we did at the beginning of the practice. Yeah. Now, we're going to sweep this left arm back behind us, right? And it may not go. It may not go that far, or you might need to kind of slide that left knee in a little bit more towards you to come into that twist with that left arm behind you on the floor, or maybe put a pillow underneath it. You're going to bring that gaze up towards the ceiling, or maybe even turning towards the left. That feels a little bit much for me. Take a few breaths. If you slid anything under that knee, take it out. Roll onto your belly so you're in that frog leg position again. And then when you get there, straighten that left knee. Maybe a few windshield wiper motions here. And then we'll do this on the other side. So right leg coming into that frog leg position, right inner knee resting on the floor, arms and head, whatever position feel comfortable to you here. Make any adjustments, add any props you need to. We'll be here for a minute or so. So it's worth getting comfortable. Coming back into that lengthened breath. Stay here a little longer. Coming into that Sphinx pose. So you'll rise up, elbows under shoulders, forearms parallel to each other. It's like your palms and forearms have suction cups to the floor. Pull the chest forward, lengthen the neck. Take another breath here. Try a small little head turn, turning to look over that right shoulder so you feel length from that left front hip bone up towards the ribs. Here's the transition that you need to stay with me on, or it can be a little hard to figure it out. You're going to lift that right elbow, slide the left arm underneath it, sort of thread the needle style, resting on that left shoulder. Maybe put something under your head here, a blanket, black. You could have something under that inner right knee, calf, black bolster, pillow. Then bring that right arm back. And that knee is probably not going to stay nailed in that spot. Can move back with you here. Gaze towards the ceiling. If this right arm is way up off the floor, might even try bending the elbow and still getting that open chest or sliding a prop underneath it. Take a few breaths here. Take any prop you have out from under the knee, roll onto your belly, into that frog leg position again, and straighten your knees. Maybe a few windshield wipers here. And coming onto your back. Might feel good at this point to hug your knees in towards you, maybe circling or rocking hips, knees here. So we've done a few things with the upper back, the shoulders, head and neck, kind of prepping us for this next one. This is our chest stretch position. So you're going to find something to put under the length of your spine. Could be a foam roller, could be a rolled up blanket. So you take that blanket from that long rectangular position and you'll lie down on it. So tailbone, spine and head on there face up. If you have yoga bolster, this is also something you can use for that. So I'll demonstrate here, making sure you have your head on there. So my bolster is a little too short. I'm going to slide the block underneath so my hips can rest. So if your foam roller is like that too short, then you might want that yoga block under the hips. But make sure the head is supported. It's not dangling off the back of whatever your roll is. And then let your arms come out to the sides here, maybe down lower than that 90-degree angle, palms up, and see if you can let the elbows rest on the floor so we're not in this kind of rigid elbow position. Once you're here, you get to rest. So you don't have to engage or lengthen or stretch anything. Gravity and the prop are doing that for you. So here, gravity pulls your backs of your shoulders towards the floor, starts to broaden through your collarbones and gently open, hopefully gently open the chest. Take a few more breaths here where the arms aren't elevated too much. Could stay with that or bring the arms out a little bit more away from your sides. Elbows are still resting on the floor and just changing the angle here. Right? It could be more challenging if you have shoulder issues or very tight in the chest or in a more fixed forward head position. This can be challenging. Keep the breath. So these chest stretches, it's not just the pecs, the chest muscles that are tight. It's the fascia, it's the connective tissue around here that can really get sort of shrink wrapped into a smaller, less mobile position. So these sort of low grade prolonged stretches work on the muscles, but also on helping with that shrink wrapped fascia. You could stay here, or you could bend the elbows more into maybe more of a semblance of a cactus arm position, but you want the backs of the hands to rest on the floor. So if they aren't, let the elbows straighten a little bit or bring them down so the backs of the hands get to rest on the floor. And sometimes I need to adjust my head, my neck position when I change the arms. Take a few moments here. Perhaps think a little bit more on the exhale, that softening, that melting, that releasing. The inhale, we're already open, so the exhale, soften into it. A few more breaths like that. And then as you're ready, pull the arms in down by your sides. You can either roll off the side here or sit up, whatever works for your body. And the last two things we're gonna do are at the wall. It'll be a figure 4 stretch at the wall. You can also do this stretch at a chair. I'm going to do a figure 4 stretch at the wall, and I'm going to end in legs up the wall. So, for the Shavasana, for the relaxation, which may not be where you want to be. So I'm sitting here sideways next to the wall, but I'm not going to get super close like I do for legs up the wall. And then I'm pivoting on the butt to bring the feet up. Remember, you could be at a door, you could close a door and have your feet there if you don't have a lot of great wall space for this. I'll cross one ankle over the other knee, and the foot that's on the wall, I'm going to start to slide it down, and then I pause when I feel a stretch in that buttocks outer hip of the crossed over leg, right? And I'm not going for intense or deep stretch here. You could stay with this. If the knee is okay, you could use your hand and just gently push that knee away to feel a little bit more a different type of stretch. And sometimes this goes into the outer hamstring of that crossed over leg. So you don't need to do every step of this. I'm just giving you some options. We'll be here for a few more breaths. We'll switch sides, so bring that foot up onto the wall, other ankle on the knee, slide the foot down the wall, pause when you feel that stretch in the buttocks, outer hip of the crossed over leg. You could stay here, or take that hand and gently push the knee, that thigh away. And make sure you're not feeling pain or discomfort with the stretch. Relax the shoulders. And bring both feet back up onto the wall. You can slide your feet up so legs are straight, straightish. You could decide, this is close enough. Sometimes when I'm too far away, it feels like I'm hyperextending my knees and legs up the wall. So I'm going to reposition here. And we're coming into Shavasana, relaxation pose. So you don't have to be in legs up the wall. You could be in legs on the chair like we started. You could be using your props in a different way, the butterfly position. You could be lying flat or fetal pose. I'm going to elevate my hips here with a folded blanket just to get even more elevation of the lower body from the pelvis and above. And that can help if we have any swelling, any inflammatory byproducts of overworking in our lower body, to help move it, gravitational pull of that back up to the core. If the pelvis is elevated, just kind of gives you one little more, makes it easier for that fluid to move, I should say. Wherever you are, you're taking that inhale through the nose. Open the mouth and let out a sigh. You can do it again. And then let the breath go. You're breathing in whatever way, whatever rate and depth that your body is requesting here. And this is our final rest. I know we've done several sort of restorative and resting positions throughout. This is the last one here to help us seal in all the good stuff we've just done over the last 50 minutes or so. Resting for a few more minutes. Begin to deepen your breath. Make some little movements like wiggling your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles, turning the head. Maybe a good morning wake up stretch, arms overhead. Inhale, stretch and lengthen. Exhale, let it go. Bend the knees and roll to your side. Pause for a moment here, taking this opportunity before you return to your day, appreciating your body, your breath, your health, your yoga practice. Pressing up to a seated position. Thank you for being here, sharing your practice, your energy. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste.